Well, hello again everyone, it's Vanner's collaboration time again, and this month's topic is our top 5 things to consider when buying a motorhome. Now the first thing is, do you want a motorhome?
No way.
That might seem a pretty obvious question, but I do hear quite often about people who buy motorhomes and then end up not really using them so much. They don't like the experience, they don't get on with it so well, they're bored, they don't like sitting in a muddy field while the rain hammers down like it is today. Yeah, the first thing really is, before you splash out loads of money, try and work out if it is in fact for you. Now obviously we love it, and there's loads of other people that really enjoy motorhoming, but you may find that you're not one of them, and there's a few ways you can try it out. You could hire a motorhome. Now we never went this route because we were on a limited budget when we bought our first motorhome, and hiring one would have taken up a significant slice of that budget. You can look around other people's motorhomes, or as we did, you can just buy a cheap older motorhome. Now that does come with some of its own problems, but it's perhaps worth doing if you've got the capability to look after it and maintain it, and you're able to select a good one from the second-hand market. Our second consideration is storage. Now you may fancy going and buying yourself a massive American coach-based RV, but if you live in a top floor flat in the city centre, you're going to struggle perhaps to find somewhere to store it. It's nice if you can get your van on your drive, makes it an awful lot easier to do things like packing it up before you go away, keeping on top of maintenance items and bits and pieces. It's a bit of a dilemma on security, whether it's safer in a storage yard or safer on your drive. But if you need to put your van in a storage yard because you haven't got space at home, then that is an additional expense to consider. My third point relates more to the purchasers of old motorhomes who are thinking that it's a cheap way and they'll be able to do a lot of work on the vans themselves. This is the route that we took, and I did spend a considerable amount of time. Virtually every weekend we weren't away in the motorhome, I was working on the motorhome. So yeah, it's a bit of a learning curve, especially if you are not used to working on old vehicles. And I do see people who buy older vans and motorhomes with very little experience of working on vehicles and do fantastically well. They sort of shoot up that steep learning curve and are doing all sorts of things in no time and putting their van in order and getting out and enjoying it. But correspondingly, I do see people who buy an older van and just get in a proper pickle because it needs so much doing to it. They're not sure how to do it, they haven't got the time or the tools or the space to work on it. And they either end up spending a lot of time and money taking it round to different garages and having varying degrees of success having professional repairs doing on it, or it just sits and rots in their driveway. So yeah, be realistic about the amount of work that you are prepared to do on an older van. Our fourth consideration is really check the vehicle that you're looking to buy out thoroughly. It's easy to fall in love with a motorhome and think it's the perfect one, it's the best one for you, it's a fantastic thing that you've seen and found, and you want to rush in and buy it before anyone else gets to it and snaps it out from under you. But it's always worth doing the proper due diligence. You know, check out the history of it. With a newer van especially, make sure there's no outstanding credit on it. There's all sorts of services you can use for that. Have a good crawl round it, make sure everything in it is demonstrated to you working. If you're buying an older van, definitely be very, very wary of things like damp. Even on newer vans, damp can be a problem, but especially on older vans, check out for damp and check all the mechanics out. If you're not confident checking the mechanical side out for yourself, then take along a friend, or if you've got the resources, pay for one of the professional AA or RAC type inspections on it. Because yeah, I do see and hear of a lot of people buying things and then coming very, very unstuck with the condition of it. People may seem nice when you're going and looking at a van, but people do all sorts of things to cover up serious problems with second-hand vehicles, and doing anything about it later can be very difficult, especially if you bought privately. Now, my fifth consideration, and it's last for a reason, is make sure the layout is right for you. Now, the reason it's last is because obviously if you've got the resources to buy a brand new van, then yes, this may move higher up the list and you want to get one that's laid out perfectly for you and the way you use the van. If you're buying an older van, which I mean, our new van is 2012, so it is older, but it is a lovely layout. But when I bought the old 1990 Citroen C25 we had previously, I was very, very interested in the mechanical condition and the sort of structural condition of the van, and much less interested in the layout. My feeling on that is, you know, if you go for the perfect layout on a much older van, it does tempt you into accepting mechanical and structural conditions that you may wish you hadn't in the longer term. So I'd say live with minor inconveniences in terms of layout in preference to a better mechanical and structural van if you're buying at the bottom end of the market. Well, there you go. They are our top 5 considerations. It may sound like a daunting experience to buy a motorhome considering all these things, but we've absolutely loved having the 2 motorhomes that we've had so far, and I can't see us being without one in the future. So yeah, don't be too put off, but just be careful and select your motorhome very cautiously. That's all from us. Make sure you watch the other videos in the collaboration group. There'll be a link to the playlist on the end screen and in the description below.